The other day I released a video covering the UK Pokemon sealed market. I know it's kind of unusual for me to do the UK market even though I live here in the UK, but today we're going to be going through the biggest selling single cards here in the UK and just see what's been going on, right? See what the UK market's like, similar to what it's like over in the US. We keep looking at TCG player, we're seeing all these big, massive numbers, but is it the same when it comes to here in the UK? Now, when we looked at the sealed product, things were different. Yes, things are going up in price, but the price difference was huge when it came to certain sets, especially in the Sword and Shield era. So today we'll be taking a look at some of the biggest cards right now and see what has been going on eBay. So let's get into it. Okay, right, starting things off, we're looking at the big Pikachu from Surging Sparks. Of course, this card has a lot of buzz around it. You know, prices have been going insanely high on places like TCG Player. We saw the card reach about $600. Then it dropped below $450, and now it's on the uptick back to $500. So what has been going on over here in the UK? Well, recently sold is a lot less. I mean, we got 275 for this one here, 300, 305, 290. We have 344. Again, one thing I will say is condition, right? How good's the centering? How good is the card? You could have, you know, the card itself, and you'd be like, well, you know, it's 300, 350, 400. But if the centering's not the best, then that'll be a much lower value. Same with if there's any whitening or anything like that. So of course, we've got one here that was 350, one here that was 370. You have another one here which was 520. Maybe it was like insanely good centering on that one. But overall, we're looking at around about 250. Overall, we're looking around about £300 on average, maybe 300 to 350 for the big Pikachu, which actually isn't too bad. That has actually dropped. I remember seeing some auctions initially where we were looking at that, you know, 450 to 500 range. It has been dropping. I would expect it to continue to drop for a little bit, you know. Yes, Surging Sparks are getting more expensive. We saw how expensive booster boxes are here in the UK. They're about 145, so basically, you know, MSRP. So where we see the Pikachu pull rates are tough, of course. So that would help it keep its value, and the expense, you know, or expensiveness, as it were, of Surging Sparks will keep it high as well. So looking forward into the future, I do expect this card to dip a little bit more, especially when the set gets reprinted. But overall, this is going to be a huge card in the future, and expect it to be, you know, top 3 most expensive cards coming out of this era. Next up, we've got the Umbreon from Evolving Skies. Of course, big money card, over $1,000, or what, basically like 1.3, 1.4k on TCG Player. But what is the situation here? This one sold for $420, and I'm not quite sure what's going on because it's listed as EV Heroes English, which is kind of confusing. But if that was the case, that is a pretty cheap version of the Umbreon there. We have a Beckett 9 in a 1.25k. That's actually pretty impressive. What do we see a PSA? Here we go. PSA 10. So I have a PSA 10 Umbreon. We're looking at about £1,500. That has actually gone up. When I got mine graded, I don't know, maybe about over a year ago now, maybe a year and a half ago, the Umbreon was about 1,000, like 900 to 1,000 graded. So that has gone up, which I'm pretty happy with, of course. And you got another one here for 1.4, 1.7. So the prices do vary even on a PSA 10 Umbreon. We have another one here for 400. Don't know how good the quality of that one is. Keeping with the trend, we have a PSA 10 for 1,600. Pretty much most of these are graded. I want to see if we can find a more raw price here. 950 for this one. So I think some of the others might not have been in the best of you know, conditions, as it were. 750 for this Umbreon. 425. Again, not too sure why it is so low. We've got PSA 10 for 1.3, PSA 10 for 1.4, 600. So the prices really do vary. You know, when it comes to the raw price of the card, I mean, we've just seen a 600 there, right? We've seen a 425, 750, 850 by the looks of it. We have 950. I mean, we've had some that have ranged anywhere. I mean, PSA 10 was only 1,000 there. The price of this card is all over the show. Like here in the UK, I'm actually quite shocked at how all over the place that this card is. I mean, 600, yeah, 1.4k there. Beckett 10, 1,800 best offer accepted. These are all graded, but yeah, I mean, even the graded ones. I mean, the graded ones are all over the place as well. Like we saw PSA 10s for 1,400. We've seen them for 1,000, 1.2, 1.5. You know, and so on and so forth. So yeah, Umbreon, hey, look, if you can get a pretty good price one, which seems possible, if you do want to get it graded, then yeah, you're going to be paying more of a premium because you want to be looking for a really good quality one. But overall, the Umbreon is, an insanely priced card. We just looked at the Pikachu. The Pikachu is pretty much like a third of the, maybe a third or, just under a half of the price of the Umbreon. Just goes to show how big the Umbreon is. Then we go on to what is called the Sunzard. So the big Charizard SIR from 151. English, of course. We're looking at 125. Remember, this card actually jumped up, right? This card went up to like, what, $200, $220, something like that. And we did see a price jump of the Charizard here in the UK as well. And I'm going to see whether or not we can see that when we go through these sold listings. So we've got 125 there, 155, 120, 175, 180. So even there, just in these, 4 or 5 auctions, the price variation of these cards is huge. I mean, 125, this one here is £30 more. This one here is 120, so this one's even cheaper than the one we saw before. 175, now we jump right up. Then we look at 180, again, right up there. It all depends on the condition and the centering of the card, because a lot of people are looking to get these graded because, graded, this can go for a pretty penny. But 170 there, 120 there, 155, 160, 135, 135, 150, 170, 140. So honestly, guys, the price of this card really does vary. I'm going to say it's anywhere between maybe 140 on average to around about 160. It really, you might have some here 120 or the odd one 170, but I would say probably around that 140, 160 is where the Charizard is currently sitting. And it's a big card. It is a big card. It's actually quite easy to pull. Sounds kind of odd, but it's actually, when we've opened up 151, we've opened up a lot of 151 on the streams. This is by far the most pulled SIR we've had of any other card in the set. More than like Giovanni's Charisma or the Erica's Invitation. This is by far the most pulled SIR we've ever had at, I believe, 7. The next one after that is actually the Alakazam as the next highest pulled SIR from this set. So yeah, Charizard is just, it's crazy. I mean, I say it's crazy. I mean, it's Charizard, right? But it's interesting to see that, the prices of 151 have really jumped up, especially here in the UK. Like, sealed product has always been quite expensive for 151. Like, we were having £10 booster packs for ages. So it was just a matter of time before the single cards really caught up. And they have. And this Charizard proves that. Up next, we got the Bubble Mew, which is a big Mew card, right? A big one from Paldean Fates. A lot of buzz around this card at the moment, mainly because it has surpassed $300 on TCG Player. Now, it must have been about maybe 3 months ago. I think it was probably around about October, maybe even September time, that I picked up this card for £80. Right, and we did it for a dip box for one of the streams. It was one of the top prizes, and it was about 80, 85, something like that. Now it is shot up. I mean, obviously on TCG Player, we see it reach over 300, completely surpassed the Charizard, and is now one of the biggest cards in the whole of the Scarlet and Violet era, right? We've never pulled this card, by the way. Like, never pulled it. We pulled the Charizard the other day for the first time, but we've never pulled the Mew. We pulled it in Japanese, like, twice, but never, never in English. There's a Spanish one there. English, here we go. So 155, 175, 170. So more than double of what I paid 3 months ago. And this goes to show how much this card has gone up. 175, 145, 130. So again, prices 200 really do vary. And again, it's all depending on the condition of the card. I mean, on the surface, you look at the two of them, you're probably like, oh, they don't look much different, but you probably find there is enough of a difference for there to be a £70 difference, because that's huge. 200, 170, 140. This one was, okay, this one's Japanese. I was like, wow, this one's cheap, and that was Japanese. 160, 250. Wow, whoever paid for that one, ouch. So yeah, I would say 170 seems to be the somewhat average price for the Bubble Mew. I think that's pretty reasonable, I mean, you got the odd ones where there's like 250, 140, which is on the other end of being cheaper, 200s on the higher end, 130s on a cheaper end. But I would say the average is probably 170. We've seen it bounce around 170, 175 as the overall average. So again, this card has gone up more than double over the past 3 months since I last purchased this. Paldean Fates is still relatively easy to get hold of here in the UK. Like, you can pick up ETBs and tins and collection boxes and everything else pretty easy. There's a lot of Paldean Fates around. The pull rates are quite tough though to try and get something like the Bubble Mew. But yeah, overall, this is going to be a big powerhouse. You know, like I say, this is up there with the Greninja. You know, it's definitely up there with the Pikachus and the big boys. So expect this one to continue to climb in the future. We just talked about the Bubble Mew, and I did briefly mention about the Zard, which we will take a look at. Now, this Charizard has been going up on TCG players around about $150, $150. Over here in the UK, this card has always sat around that £100 range, and we'll see that in just a moment, I think. But, you know, still a big card, you know, big money card. I expect this to go up. I really do, especially here in the UK. I do expect this to go up, you know, above that £100 range. So 105 there, 100. We got an Ace 9 for 93. Got 95 there, 90, 144, 265 and a PSA 10. So I'll give you guys an idea how much a PSA 10 of the Zardy boy goes for. 120, so that's more on the higher end here. We have 300 and a PSA 10. Again, that's higher. So I would say under £100 seems to be the going rate. You know, between 95 to £100 seems to be the going rate for the Charizard. You know, pretty much across the board. Then you got some graded ones there. You know, we got an Ace label. Well, it's not Ace label, but Ace 10 at 245. PSA 9 at 100. 200, there's the Ace 10 label, looking absolutely amazing, but that one's 200. So yeah, we're looking at probably around 95 or so to £100, which really hasn't jumped up much, you know, but I do expect it to go up. I really do. I think Paldean Fates has proven to be a good set, you know, better than Shining Fates, and we've seen the Mew obviously climb as well. So it makes sense for Charizard really to start climbing and seeing some good gains in the future. But yeah, around about £100 is about right for this one. And finally, last one we're going to be looking at today is the big boy Greninja from Twilight Masquerade. Of course, big money card from Twilight Masquerade, over $300, really pushing that set to new heights. We looked at the Twilight Masquerade booster boxes. They have dropped here in the UK. So the booster boxes have gone down to around about $110 a box, which is an incredible price. So we're looking at the Greninja here. We're looking at 215 raw for this one, 510 in a PSA 10. So if you want to get an idea how much is going for in a PSA 10, we're looking about more than double the price of a raw version of this card. 240 raw, 185. Again, we're seeing big price swings, right? Big price differences. 185, 240, and 215. Huge difference there. Again, it's going to depend on that quality of and conditioning of the card. Ace 10 coming in only at 360. So we saw PSA. Where's PSA? So PSA is 510. Ace really lagging behind with 360 there. 220 raw, 250 raw, 225 raw. That's an insane looking label. Only a 9, but 235. So we have a 9 here for 235, where a 10 was only 360. Interesting. So we have a raw one there, 250. So a raw one went for more than an Ace 9 with an Ace label. Ouch. 575 in a PSA 10. 229 there for an Ace 9. 225 raw. So overall, I mean, 200 to 220. I mean, that was sold for 130. What the hell happened there? So I would say, yeah, probably around about 200 to 220 is where, you know, on average, I would say where the Greninja's sitting raw. I mean, graded is doing pretty well. Definitely, if you want that value, go with PSA. I mean, PSA 10 here, 600. Huge card. I mean, it's doubling and tripling in value, of course, if you do get it in a 10. Seems to be quite tough to get in a 10, especially in these Ace labels. We've seen a lot of Ace 9s, but no real 10s. But yeah, overall, Greninja is an incredible card. You know, it's going to be up there, right? It's going to be a big performer. Twilight Masquerade is going cheap here in the UK. Now's a great time. Tough pull rates though. So, you know, if I was to get this card, I would just buy it, right? It's pretty much the price of 2 boxes. So, you know, realistically, are you going to put it in 2 boxes? Probably not. So, and you can get some good price ones. Just got to look out for the conditioning. So there you have it, guys. Those are the prices over here in the UK. Like I said, we did look at you know, prices for the sealed product. Sealed product is doing pretty well. You can get quite a lot of booster boxes for a reasonably good price, and even some of the big money cards, right? There's big price swings. That's one thing I've noticed in today's video when we looked at a lot of these cards. Huge price differences depending on the condition and centering of the card. That's a major big factor. So if you're looking at picking up some of these cards, like, should I buy and put my money into some of these big mega cards? It depends whether or not you're grading them, right? If you are sending them off to get graded, then you might be paying a little bit more of a premium for a better, you know, centered, better conditioned copy. But if you're looking just to complete a set, to put in a binder, then you can pick up cards that are a huge difference in price, which may help to complete those sets. If you made this far in the video and you've enjoyed it, make sure to smash the like button and make sure to subscribe for more Pokemon content. And let me know your thoughts on the UK market, and would you like to see more of me covering the UK market? Now, I did see a lot of positive comments. A lot of you guys have said, look, Jace, please do more of the UK sealed market, you know, recently sold on eBay and things like that. That is something which, going into 2025, is what I want to be doing, is covering more of the UK market, recently sold, and talk things through, you know, let you guys know my thoughts and opinions on what is happening in the UK market. We cover the US all the time, and we'll continue to cover what is going on over on TCG Player and the rest of the markets, you know, card market, and also on eBay over in the US. But now and again, we'll dip into the UK and we'll see if the prices match, you know, the trends matching each other between the two different markets, because that's quite interesting to see what is actually going on. But that is it from me, guys, in today's video. If you want more Pokemon content, make sure to click the video on the screen, and of course, make sure to hit that subscribe button. But as always, thank you so much for watching. You guys are legends, and I'll see you in the next one.